Story. We are now joined by our US correspondent Simon Marks, and he's joining us from Washington. Simon, good afternoon. Thanks for speaking to us here on eNCA. First of all, we are hearing reports that the US intelligence service is saying that they didn't know about South African Pierre Korkie being held there as well when they launched their operation. How is that possible, since it's been reported so widely, well, especially here in South Africa?
It is an astonishing assertion, and it's not being made publicly by intelligence officials here. It's being made in private conversations with reporters, first published by the New York Times here late on Saturday. We're learning a good deal more now about this military raid on that compound in Yemen, where Pierre Korkie, the American photojournalist Luke Summers, and other hostages are believed to have been held. And in the last few minutes, it has been reported that this was a much more significant battle and firefight than had previously been reported. We now know that at least 11 people were killed in this attempt to rescue the hostage, including a woman, a 10-year-old boy, and a local al-Qaeda leader. So there are clearly an enormous number of questions stacking up, certainly for the Obama administration on this side of the Atlantic, possibly also for authorities there, about what sort of communication existed in the hours leading up to the raid. It certainly appears to have been developed quite quickly by the Obama administration based on what it calls actionable intelligence. First of all, about the location of the hostages. Secondly, about what the United States deemed was the imminent danger, the imminent threat to the life of the British-born American hostage, Luke Summers, but also, of course, about what level of communication existed between South Africa and the United States about the nature of discussions with the al-Qaeda group holding Pierre Korkie and the nature of any arrangements that may have been struck that would have led to his release.
Now, Simon, the aid organization Gift of the Givers in Yemen are quite upset. They've blamed the Americans for messing up their negotiations. What is the American response to that?
Well, there hasn't been a direct American response to those concerns, but throughout, from the moment at dawn here on Saturday, when news of all of this was initially disclosed by the White House, the American position has been, first of all, the life of an American citizen, Luke Summers, was in imminent danger. Remember that his captors had set a 72-hour deadline, saying that if their demands weren't met, he would be murdered. Secondly, they had intelligence about where Luke Summers and Pierre Korkie were being held. Thirdly, the long arm of American justice, as President Obama put it in his statement on Saturday, will reach wherever and whenever American lives are at risk. And I think there's no question that there is a distinction drawn here between the threat to the life of an American citizen and concerns that the White House may have had about other non-American hostages. In other words, about Mr. Korkie. And the motivating factor, as far as the White House was concerned, was trying to save the life of an American without necessarily, I think, finding itself in a position where the plight of Mr. Korkie and some of the other Western hostages was proving to be a particular brake on the decision to launch a military operation. So there's no question that this is a complex rhetorical thicket in which the government of the United States finds itself.
Simon, do you know whether the US intelligence services informed their South African counterparts about the planned operation?
We've had absolutely no word here whatsoever about, first of all, communication that may have existed between Washington and South Africa before the raid got underway, or perhaps even more importantly, communication that has taken place over the weekend since the death of Luke Summers and Pierre Korkie was disclosed. As I said on the program yesterday, it would be normal under these circumstances for President Barack Obama to pick up the telephone and call Jacob Zuma and at least discuss what had taken place, and we, as reporters based here, would then get a briefing, perhaps a small one, but we would at least be told that telephone conversation had occurred. We have not been told that any conversation has taken place. Whether it has or it has not would at this point be speculation, but it certainly would be normal for the President of the United States to reach out to the President of a foreign country after one of its nationals, in this case Pierre Korkie, was killed under such tragic circumstances. I keep checking my email, keep waiting for word from the White House. There's been nothing so far.
Simon, what more do you know about what actually happened on the ground? We've heard in reports that the American and Pierre Korkie died on a Navy ship or on a helicopter on their way out. Do you know more about the fighting that happened?
Yes, absolutely, Gustav. I mean, more details were disclosed last night. First of all, we do now know that they were both shot by their al-Qaeda captors as the raid got underway. And US officials are saying, look, the circumstances on the ground robbed them of the element of surprise that they believed was going to be absolutely essential to secure Mr. Summers and Mr. Korkie. It would seem that the second those helicopters started landing, up to 100 special forces in that village in Yemen, firing percussive stun grenades. The al-Qaeda hostage takers immediately shot Mr. Summers and Mr. Korkie. They were both airlifted to a US naval vessel off the coast of Yemen. One of them, we are told, we don't know which one, died on the helicopter taking him to the naval vessel. The other died on what's being described as the operating table aboard the naval ship. So those are the details as we have them, but the US insists that it was the absence of that element of surprise on the ground that robbed them of what they had hoped would be their ability to rescue both the hostages.
Okay, thanks so much for joining us live from Washington. That was our US correspondent Simon Marks on eNCA.